this isn't my business and this isn't your business. We're just directors and shareholders of a business.
Yeah.
And I think too many people think a limited company is them.
Yeah. That's how it is, isn't it?
That's how it is. This is John.
And this is Nick.
And this is
How It Is.
Being in business together. You'll have seen many business partners over the years fail, fall out, have disagreements. And we've often been asked why we're in business together and why it works, and it does work. What do you put it down to?
You have an incredible amount of patience. What I've always said is that we are extremely different people. And I think people in the podcast can see that. I've got ADHD, it's undiagnosed, but even when my wife actually says to me the other day, "You've got ADHD," I've been looking it up, and you are absolutely classic ADHD down to everything. I'm like, you think? So you've kind of embraced that. You've probably noticed that from very early on. But my imagination can run wild. I always reach for the stars. Something you've said you've never been able to quite do. What is he going on about? But if I don't quite get the star, I'll get just below it. And I think we work well with that. We think so similar. It is frightening. Even so much so, I gotta say this, that even on the weekend we were talking about that. I cooked a potato gratin and I was really pleased with it. He went, "I made mine yesterday." So we even cook the same foods without even thinking about it. So it's quite scary.
You're absolutely right. But I think also we understood each other before we were in business together.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So because we worked together, and you always say about the infamous phrase, I'm going to say it, which is, you're not the easiest person to work with. But I think I understood what you bring, you understand what I bring, and therefore there were no surprises. I think when I see a lot of partnerships go wrong, the two people only still care about themselves, and they don't value that someone else can do it. It's almost like they only need the money or the time of the other person and don't feel like they need it. And I've always said to you that I don't think I could do this business without you for that reason. So like, I'm very good at operational stuff. I'm good at being calm. You're got that reach for the stars thing, and I'll think about it and go, we're never going to be able to achieve that. But I never say it out loud because I know that we'll get somewhere close, which is what you've said. And therefore I think we respect what each other brings and couldn't do the sum of the two parts is more powerful
absolutely.
than individuals.
There's a lot which the irony is the compliance guys, and we'll look at the name. Do you want to tell the audience what it was originally called?
The compliance guy. No, it wasn't. It was called Canon Compliance. Great name.
And we had an initial meeting with a company. I used to do a bit of video marketing, and during that meeting, I said I went, by the way, I hate the name Canon Compliance. And, a lot of business partners would be quite offended to it. He just burst out laughing and said, "I'm not precious. What do you have in mind?" I went, "Well, look, people call you a compliance guy, call me a compliance guy. We should just be called the compliance guys. It's as easy as that." And, that's, the understanding of, you wasn't offended by it. Another thing is that, like, emails or letters or content, I'll go away and say, right, I need to do something. I need to get in contact with this person. And I'll write it because you can't be asked to do that.
True.
But I'll send that to you. And I've got to change everything. I'll be like, I'd be offended if you didn't. You know what I mean? But you have to put the correct grammar in there and all these lovely, nice, just shoes it up a bit. And I don't find it. You used to be kind of like, I don't mean to offend you. I'm like, I'm really not offended by it. Trust me, that's absolutely cool.
I think a lot of people have control issues in partnerships.
Yeah.
I genuinely think that in some ways the fact that we're in different offices helps.
Yeah.
So we appreciate when we've got time together to do things together and help the teams and stuff. But I think if we were in the same offices on top of each other, we'd almost be trying to make the same decisions.
Maybe,
But we're never precious about what decisions people make. So you've let me do stuff or do things that you were like, we should have done that a long time ago.
Yeah.
And I've said no, but you've laughed about it afterwards, but you've never gone, that's caused us a problem. You've had stupid ideas that I've let you run with. And do you know what it is? It's because this isn't my business and this isn't your business. We're just directors and shareholders of a business.
Yeah.
And I think too many people think a limited company is them.
Yeah.
For instance, the money in my bank account, I don't associate with the money in the company bank account. The company is separate from us.
Yeah.
I think we've done that really well for a first major business we've had. Whereas a lot of people treat it as it's them, and it really isn't. It has to be bigger than us.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And again, it goes back to every decision that is made in this company that we both make or individually. It's not about us. No. It's never about us. It's never Nick or John. It is always the compliance guys. And again, we take emotion out of it, and you got to go, this is the right decision, and it's going to be a tough, in the words of Keir Starmer, we make tough decisions,
Hopefully we make better decisions.
I know. I get a shiver down my spine when I think of Keir Starmer and Rachel Reeves. Everything is done for this company, and it has to be for the company, the benefit of the company. There was something else I was going to say regarding the way that we operate. I can't really think about it right now. I've lost my thread.
I think it's just important to say really that as we've grown this business, we've tried to be less eager. I don't think we're egotistical. We come across as confident, I'm sure, but ego never gets in the way of decisions, to the point where if we make a decision that doesn't work, we're never like, well, I'm going to be precious about it. We're both willing to step back and go, we need to learn from that. Or what could we have done differently? And I think ego in partnerships is always a problem.
I know what I was thinking. There's another thing is that you are better at compliance than me, or you're more knowledgeable about compliance. Absolutely. And I always say, why do I need to know as much compliance if Nick knows it? Because he'll just give me in a summary. But there's other things, there's other situations which I'm not good at, and you're much better. So let's just say we were talking about a dinner, which we were invited to the other day, and I went, I'm not going. Straight away, Nick can do that. Nick can do that. Nick can do that. I'm not doing it. I said, not a chance, not interested, not going. Where most people would love to go to it, and I just think I couldn't think of anything worse than sitting down, talking to people that I've not met before, talking about absolute rubbish. Yes, I don't drink, so that makes it a bit more difficult, at times. But not because I want to have a drink. It's just because everybody's arseholed around me, and I'm just the only sober person there, But it's just I think we've both realised what we're good at and what we're not good at.
Yeah.
And again, me getting up and speaking at a very fancy dinner, I've got pretty much borderline Tourette's. It wouldn't go down well.
I'm not much better.
But and that's what makes a good partnership. It's understanding each other.
I think that the thing to be clear about, though, is partnership doesn't work for everyone.
Absolutely.
And that's where investment that we've spoken about separately is better. Sometimes you're better to have an investor than a partner, even though it hasn't worked for us, and you need to work out which one of those options is right for you.
The other thing as well is culture. There's companies out there who like that yes man culture. I don't, you don't.
No.
I much prefer people to say, no, I think what you're saying is wrong. I disagree. That's fine. Say it, but back it up. Back up the reasoning. And I much prefer that. I much prefer to have not a struggle to get things over the line, but at least we've discussed it in a proper way of the, the pros and cons of everything. And I think, again, maybe, again, I'll come to you more often than you come to me. I'll go, I've got this idea. And you go, that's really bad. No, we shouldn't do it.
You've got to have better people around you as you progress in business as well. I think in the past, we've felt like we had to make more decisions because people wouldn't step up otherwise.
Yeah.
And I think what we've found more recently is that we've got people who make such good decisions, or not necessarily the quality of the decision, but the conviction in the decision and the research in the decision, that we've been able to go, you decide.
Yeah.
Because we know they'll come back to us if it needs a critical sign off. But ultimately, we've been able to empower people, and everyone bangs on about empowering staff, but you need to have the right staff to empower them in the first place.
Some people say, would we sell? I think it would be silly to say we wouldn't. The company is not on the market at any given time. But going back to my car salesman's day, I tell my granny if you put a sign on her, But I think everything has its price. This is my baby, our baby, I should say, and I very kind of. It would be a tough decision, but I think you got to build the company to work without us. I think that's what I'm trying to aim at.
Yeah, you can't sell a business if you get taken out and it falls to pieces. And that's not the only reason we've done it, but we've done it in that way, even so we can do stuff like a podcast.
Absolutely.
I think in the past we wouldn't have been able to spare the time to even sit here and have a conversation. But the secondary element to that is, staff don't want you to be involved in all the work and making decisions all the time. That's not empowering for anyone. We'll talk about empowerment, but people want to feel valued and they want to feel like they're having an impact, and we can't be the only people to have an impact. So if that leaves us in a position where a business could be sold, even if it never got sold, it's still a good position.